Okay, then let's do our case part. Then there will be 3 objects in the scene by default. A camera, a light. Then we can temporarily delete the camera and lights first. Cube, you can keep it a little bit. Or you can create a new one. So many users want to complete this Blender ritual. We'll delete it first, and then create a new one. That's up to you. What about the cube? Let's first make it bigger. We press the S key. We can enlarge the cube a little bit. How big should it be placed? I don't recommend using too big a size here either. Then we can come to the top picture and take a look. So in our picture, the size of a grid is 1 meter. So we can use a 6 meter by 6 meter vertical. The size of the cube. Then our GZ can move up a little distance. We first need to create a ground effect for it, so we can flatten it a little bit. SC, we can flatten the ground a little bit. It's not really necessary for us to go here. The size is very tight. Accurate. You just need to pay attention to its proportions as a whole. So we can flatten this object first. What about after it's flattened? There's one here. An operation we usually do. I need to tell everyone about it. We didn't talk about it before. So what kind of operation is it? It's about this counter plus A. Use the app. Apply scaling or apply rotation. So why add such an operation? We can give an example. Our CVDX. Take our flattened cube, copy it, and press the N key on the keyboard. We can open the sidebar. After opening the sidebar, we can switch to the entry bar. Go to the entry column. We can see our current 2 cubes. Its scaling percentage. We can see it is zoomed in nearly 3 times on both the X and Y axis, but it is reduced by 0.7 times on the Z axis. Pay attention to the zoom ratio here. So if we are now a cube, to add a modification command, before that, we added a surface subdivision command. So this time we can add another command. The main thing is to tell you how to use the application here. Then in the claim, we can add a chamfer command to it. We can pull the chamfer value a little bit. We will find a problem. That's it. After adding this chamfer command to our cube, you will find that its chamfer is the bevel of this edge. It also becomes the same ratio as this. In other words, it was also squashed. What about the other cube? Let's take a look. What about the scaling value here? Also 2.998 and 0.7. So let's select this cube now. Control plus A. Let's apply the scaling value. So what will we find? Current cube. Its shape has not changed in any way. But what about its scaling value? Will be restored to E. What about now? If we add a chamfer command to it, we can set the strength of its chamfering. We'll find out. Cube with scale applied to it. Then after adding these commands, its commands are not deformed. In other words, its scaling value is restored to 1. It's a normal state. Without scaling and restoring, it is just a command that will be used later. A state that will have some impact. If there are some objects in our scene, you zoomed or rotated, please pay attention to such issues. I will also mention it later. Good. Then let's delete all his commands first. Then apply scaling to our current cube. Control A. He can restore it. That order must also be deleted by him. So let's not use any modification period commands now. Just go through some simple models. Good. We select the cube saved and we copy it upwards. Then press the S key and we will zoom inward a little proportionally. Then let's flatten SZ a little bit more. Make it a relatively thin cube. What about the cube above? We can use it to create an effect of grass. So we can flatten it a little bit. Then SX is also slightly smaller. Let's put it slightly to the left. GZ is slightly downward. Let it be connected to the ground below. Just fit it in completely. Then when two objects are combined, if you want to select a result, that means you might have let it leave a gap. But there is also a possibility that it will be inserted in it. So in these two situations, we don't need to be very precise. So you can actually plug them together. We can widen it a little bit. Okay, so after we do some scaling on this cube, if we press the N key, you will also find the scaling value here has changed. We also do Ctrl+A. Apply its scaling. Bring it back. Then something else. We also hope that there is a paragraph after it. So, we can take the grass cube above. Enter its editing mode. Then select part of it and extrude it. Select a model above. Use the keyboard shortcut table key. We enter its editing mode. Ctrl-R. Let's make a branch line to the back. Circumferential tangent. Adjust the position slightly on the crooked axis. Switch to our surface level. Select its side. Press the E key to extrude a surface to one side. Be careful not to make the extrusion surface too long. A little bit shorter than our ground. That's it. We'll use it as part of the grass on our ground. Then we'd better make a group of grass in the lower right corner. We can press the number key 7 to go to its top view. We can take the existing grass model. Shift-D, we copy it. Then let it rotate 180 degrees. We can use the shortcut key, R180. This way it will rotate. Here is a little tip. That is, if we enter an orthogonal graph. So if you want to do a spin, you don't need to enter its direction. For example, we are now in the top diagram. I just enter our 180 degrees. Then its default is to complete the rotation on the z-axis. Good. So next we want it to be slightly smaller. Because it looks a little too big now. If we put it up, it will surround the entire scene. We still want it to have the feel of a small isle. So we're going to scale it. We also have a requirement when scaling. That is, I hope that its overall z-axis remains unchanged. Zoom only on the x and y axis. Here we can all recall. If we only zoom on the x and y axis, what should be done? We can use the S key to zoom, then use the fast key Shift+Z. That is to say, the z-axis is locked. Okay, now we can zoom in a little bit. Put it on our side. Ctrl+A. Let's apply its scaling here. There is no change in its height now, but it will become very small. Looks like it's a little too thin. Too thin. So we can come to the level of its apex. To select part of its vertices. I hope its overall shape. Just change it a little bit. Here I select the vertices of the border. Move it along the x-axis. In the other group, we move GY upward. Make it look slightly better proportioned. In that case, our two grassy parts. We finished making it. Then let's do it. There is a small step in the middle of it. Then the small steps above. We can still use cubes to create. Let's take the big cube below. Let's copy it directly upwards. Then press S key. We can zoom out a little bit. If it's that high. And the height of the grass on both sides. It's almost the same. Or you make it a little higher. It's also possible. Let's continue scaling S. Shift+Z. So this time I lock its z-axis. Zoom a little bit. Let's take a look at the effect. The current situation is basically the same. Ctrl+A. Let's apply its reduction. Then its steps are similar to a trapezoidal feeling. So we can make the bottom of it slightly larger. We use the keyboard shortcut table key. First enter its editing mode Shift+Z. Let's turn on its grid mode. In this way, we select the 4 vertices in the lower half of it. Then press the S key and we can zoom in a little bit. Make it feel like a small trapezoid underneath. Then it will look relatively better this way. Right? The effect of a small trapezoid. Okay, So let's talk about the above. On the steps between us, there will be some effects similar to grass. So let's put the grass effect on this together. Let's finish it together. So the effect of grass. It has some ups and downs. It looks relatively sleek. So if the effect is like this, I use a pen to draw some. If it works like this, our model needs a lot of segments. Then there are only a lot of segments that satisfy such a structure. Only our grassland can produce such changes. So we need to make an object with more segments. Then we can also put the lower cube here first. Copy it to the top and shrink it S. Z. Let's flatten it a little bit. Then we cover it. Move the position. Okay, Control A. Let's apply zoom. Okay, then after placing the position, we need it to have more segments. So we can directly enter its editing mode first. Control R. We can in both directions of it. Just add more segments in the RX and Y directions. So we're going to basically make one of the sides of it. Just try to keep it as close to a square as possible. Then now we have a lot of faces. But the current number of faces still seems not enough, because we wanted to produce some changes that are more arc-like. So the current number of faces is still not enough. If that's not enough, we can use a surface subdivision we talked about before. Shortcut keys. We can use Control 3 directly. In other words, a 3-level surface subdivision is directly added to it. In this case, we will see that there will be many more segments in it. We can use smooth left color by right-clicking. So if this is the case, then we can apply this subdivision command directly to it. There is a drop-down button behind this camera. We can apply it directly. So now if we re-enter edit mode, you can see our model. In fact, there are already many points, lines, and surfaces. Now it may become a very smooth state. So how can we produce some random fluctuation effects? We can set the model in this modifier. To add a new modifier command, let's switch directly to our deformation type here. Then let's find a replacement. So the displacement modifier is past an image. Then it takes the light or white parts of the image. It is understood as the effect of bulging upward and forward. Then the dark or black part. It will be understood as the downward concave part. Use this as a way for it to change your model. A piece of data. Then we have now added the replacement command. But it is all outward facing, because our current strength is 1. So no texture has been created yet. So its overall strength is 1.0. They are all convex toward the surface of our model. We can click New above. Add a texture map to it. Now it has become a sunken inward. Because what about the texture map we have created now? Didn't select any images. So you can understand that its texture map is now black. So it becomes inward. Of course, all we need to know is some of its algorithms. Then we can click the capsule button behind the texture map. Or we can use the little icon at the bottom. We can also see that this piece has a texture. We can click on it to enter a texture state. Everyone, please pay attention. It's black inside. Then we can pull down the type position above. There will be a lot of built-in procedural textures below. These textures do not depend on what images you have on your computer. We can choose any one here. For example, let's choose a cloud sequence. Then the cloud sequence texture. It looks like some smoke effect. It's some random smoke feeling. So this feeling is mapped to our model. We'll see where it's a little lighter. We'll bulge upward. Darker areas will create depressions downwards. Okay, then we can also change its type. There are many types below. I can modify it into a Voronoi diagram first. The Voronoi diagram is a cell-like effect, so it looks like it goes in circles. There are also some types below the Voronoi diagram. Now it's called the actual interval. We can also switch it to square intervals. The squared interval and this actual interval. You'll notice that there appear to be square intervals. it will be more obvious. So there will be some small bumps. But its current bulge should be wrong. Because we will find out the part of the cell inside it. It is black. So for the current replacement command, black should be pointing downwards, but we'll see it go up. That means this is upward. It should be the model on the back of it, because the value is relatively large. The other way around. It's actually a recessed part of the back. So how to adjust it? We can go back to the modifier layer. Well, we have also talked about the issue of strength before. Its default strength is 1.0. Look, I'm going to pull back the intensity now. For example, let's change it to 0.1. We will find that it is indeed concave downwards, rather than convex upward, right? So if we want it to convex upward, you can change its intensity to a negative value. A negative value is equivalent to changing our previous black and white relationship. Made a reversal, that turns black up, right? Then white down. So the more negative you have, its effect will be more obvious. We just need to give a negative 0.1 here. This is generally the effect. We'll use it as one of our lawns. Edge effect. Well, there is actually another detail that we need to adjust. So that means I want the upper part of the grass to be as flat as possible. Then the bottom and sides can have this random undulating effect. So how can we make the top of the grass flat? In fact, we can imagine. We want the upper surface of the grass to not use displacement. The effect. Only the sides and bottom are using the displacement effect. So how can such a result be achieved? In fact, it provides us with a path that can be achieved. This path is just below it. There is an option here called vertex group. Vertex group means we can place the vertices of part of our model in. That as an exclusion. Do not apply the above effects. That's what it means. Then we are going to create a vertex group next. We can choose our grass. Then click on the green data. Then among the data options, we can see this place. There will be a content called a vertex group. Then we can click on this plus sign. Have it create a new vertex group. Pay attention now. Its vertex group is an empty. There's nothing in it, right? Then we now press the numeric key 1 to switch to its test chart. What we're going to do next is give this vertex a resistance point to add some vertex weights. In other words, the closer to the upper surface, the more it should be excluded. Don't touch the lower surface if it's close to it. What should be done? We can choose the model. Use keyboard shortcuts. Control plus taper key. Control plus taper key. We can take a look. There will be a weight drawing in the upper left corner of this. We can go into weight drawing. After entering into the whole process of drawing, you will find that it will turn black as a whole. That means that in this vertex group, our model does not have any vertex group information. Then we can use the tools on the left. Of course, if you can't see it. To display it, press the T key on the interface. Among the tools on the left, we can use this gradient T degree. It is a gradient color. Use gradient colors. We can hold down the control key to lock an angle. Then pull down our gradient color from the top of this. Did you see it? We can lock it by holding down the control key. Then we can start from the top. Pull it to the middle position. Is a vertex group of a plane. Now I feel it's not enough. Pull it again. Make it a little more. Hold down the mouse and pull it down first. Color, and then press the control key to lock an angle. Now we will find out. The color is very beautiful, right? There will be some red on it. Gradually go down to create some gradients. How do we understand this problem? You can understand it this way. The weight of this red part is 1. Later we will eliminate it. It is the point that is excluded. So this gradient from yellow to green to blue, its weight gradually decreases, especially like this forest blue. Basically, it's biased towards 0. Then later we will do the elimination of vertex groups. It may not have that obvious effect. Then the current data will be stored in our group. It's inside this vertex group. After you've done it, we can use the shortcut key control plus the taper key. Return to object mode. We will find that in fact our objects No changes occurred, right? But it doesn't matter. Let's continue. Then let's go back to the modifier. Inside the lower vertex group, we can find this group. Let's add it in. What about now? You will see a result exactly opposite to what we expected. Instead, it has this displacement effect on top. There are no sides and bottom. Because it's the default, we'll think that the part we just pulled into red is a part we want to keep. Right? That doesn't matter. We have a reverse button behind this group. We just need to click on it. It will reverse the result we just had. That's our red place. Actually, it doesn't apply our current substitution. We can take a look. Click on the icon of this small TV, a command that can turn on or off our current replacement. We will find that there are not many changes above the changing part. In fact, it was when we just pulled the vertex group. It's a little too deep here. It just didn't affect it. That doesn't matter. I think leave it a little bit. Actually, the effect is better, isn't it? Well, we have already dealt with it now. We will have some random effects on its side. Then it looks pretty good now. Right? Not bad. Okay, so if this is the case, our basic model. Let's stop here first. Then we'll come back in the next few lessons. Come to the scene. Let's add some details to other models.